Good evening, everyone. Before the start of the session, let us chant Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavatu Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. All right. So we will be continuing with dissociation condition today. If I remember correctly, we went over or we completed association condition last time. Correct me if I am wrong, please. Right? We have to start from dissociation, isn't it, everyone? Right. So dissociation is quite easy to understand, right? Yeah, oh, page 300 and, oh, the chart, where is this page? 311. 311. So,
I think we are doing presents today, Bhante.
Presents? Are we actually doing presents? No, we are not doing presents.
We are not. We finished the other one before that.
We did association last time.
And disassociation as well, no?
No, no.
Okay.
Into disassociation. Yeah. Right. So dissociation. Dissociation condition. Dissociation condition relates to dhammas that are found, or they would arise, or they would be there present. However, they are disassociated in the spirit that they are either nama and rupa, or rupa or nama. The disassociation of characteristics is a fact that whilst they might be present within a certain condition, however, they are different or disassociated by nature of its quality, which is it being mind or matter. The example which is given is that water does not mix with oil, right? Although they can sit in the same cup together, right? Water and oil will always be separate. Let us read about it. Page 321. 321. Here we go. Dissociation condition is a condition where the conditioning state is either a mental phenomena that assists present material phenomena, or material phenomena that assists present mental phenomena. In this relationship, the two components, the conditioning state and the conditioned states, are necessarily of different types. If one is matter, the other must be mind. If one is mind, the other must be matter. This is like a mixture of water and oil, which remains separated though placed together. Thus, at the moment of rebirth, the heart base and the mental aggregates arise simultaneously. Each a disassociation condition for the other by reason of the particular characteristics that distinguish them as material and mental phenomena. At the moment of rebirth, again, the mental aggregates are the condition for other kinds of karma-born matter, right? And during the course of existence, for mind-born matter, by way of dissociation condition, right? By way of dissociation condition. Again, at the moment of rebirth, again, the mental aggregates are a condition for other kinds of karma-born matter. The mental aggregates are a condition for the other kinds of karma-born matter. And during the course of existence, for the mind-born matter, by way of dissociation condition, right? Dissociation also comprises pre-nascent and post-nascent types. The former obtains between matter as a conditioning state and mind as a conditioned state. The latter obtains between mind as a conditioning state and matter as a conditioned state. These are identical with pre-nascent support condition and post-nascent condition, respectively. In all of these situations, circumstances, and different conditions that are mentioned, the nama and rupa are present in a form of support or persistence. Regardless of whether it is support or persistence, at both times, when mind and matter exists together at that time, although they are associated in one condition, they're disassociated by their nature, which is the fact that one of them can be nama and the other is rupa, and the one, and in another form, it can be rupa and then nama. Is that understood, everyone? Right? Let us go back to the chart. There's nothing more to read, no? Yes. Yes, there is 2 lines. No, that's it. Right, let us go back to the chart. Right. Dissociation. Dissociation. The first one is connaissance, dissociation. In the Panchabokara Bhumi, at the moment of rebirth and existence, 75 chittas, excluding that which does not relate to a material plane, here the 4 immaterial sphere resultants, right? Because at the time of because immaterial sphere resultants do not arise within the 5 aggregate plane, isn't it? It arises beyond. The 10 sense consciousnesses, it does not produce. And then 10 sense consciousnesses and Arahat's death consciousness, because that also does not give any result afterwards. And their respective 52 chaitasikas. From the 75 chittas and 52 chaitasikas, right, conditioned arises the connaissant matter. These are dissociation. Is that clear, everyone? Right? Now again, within the 5 aggregate plane, okay, within the 5 aggregate plane, Panchabokara Bhumi Tula, during the moment of rebirth and at existence, during the moment of rebirth and at existence, right? Now let's take the during the moment of rebirth first. During the moment of rebirth, the Patisandhi Chitta arises, right? Together with that Patisandhi Chitta, right, fueled by the Patisandhi Shakti of the previous birth or life rather, arises together with it the Hade Vastu, isn't it, everyone? Right? Now that is what is there now. Now Patisandhi Chitta can be any one of those Patisandhi Chittas that can come to rise. And with it arises the Hade Vastu, which is within the connascent matter, isn't it? Right? Now, how does it become dissociation condition? Because Nama and Rupa. Is that understood? Right? They arise together, simultaneously arises together. Right? The Chitta Shakti or the Pratisandhi Chitta which arises in this new fresh birth, right, is fueled by the previous life force, right? And with it at this moment in time, together with its arising, together with the arising of the Patisandhi Chitta, arises the Hade Vastu, right? Although it arises together, it is disassociated by nature. How? Because one is Nama, one is Rupa. Is that clear? Right? One is Nama, one is Rupa. Again, breaking any sort of sense of Atma Samnya here and breaking it down to two mechanisms. Right? Fueled by one, supported by one, the Hade Vastu can now arise in the new birth. Right? That is connascence. That is connascence at the moment of connascence dissociation at the moment of rebirth. Now, during the time of existence, everyone, as we persist in this life after rebirth, after the rebirth process has prevailed, and now we are living in the process of life, we have or experience or chittas arise, giving rise to connascent matter, sahajata rupa, isn't it? Right? Sahajata rupa. Now take a look at the chittas which are excluded here, right? Now 10 sense consciousnesses, they do not do anything other than simply energize the 5 faculties. That's it, the 5 bases, right? The rupas. They do not do anything else. They do not produce any connascent matter whatsoever, right? The 4 immaterial sphere resultants, they do not produce any matter whatsoever as well. Why? Because immaterial sphere. They arise in the immaterial sphere, right? And then Arahat's death. Arahat's death. Again, why? Because there is no birth after that, right? Exactly. There is no birth after that, right? So we've taken away all the chittas which does not give rise to connascent matter, right? Connascent matter. The 75 remaining chittas throughout life is able to give rise to connascent matter with its arising. Those chittas and its respective 52 chaitasikas we have taken, all of these chittas produce connascent matter. Is that clear, everyone? Right? Is that clear? All of these chittas produce connascent matter, right? Connascent matter. And that is how it becomes disassociated. Although they arise together in this case because it's connascent, yet it is disassociated by the power of its nature, which is one being Nama, the other being Rupa. They will never mix. Do you understand? Is that clear? Yeah? Any questions? Can we move on? Or does anyone have any questions? Yes, Damsini.
Bhante, this is, you have to understand in terms of when you have dissociation pratya, but at the same time, you have connascent pratya also, forcing the connascent matter to be supported.
Absolutely. And And Damsari, at any given point, it's not only one pratyaya that is in operation.
Yeah, that's right. Taken. There are other pratyas also.
Multiple pratyas that can be in operation in one given circumstance.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. So, which again sort of shows us the mechanisms which are in place, allowing this flow of life, right? Hari. The second is 6C. Let us go to 6C. 6C is this. This is connaissance, right? This is connaissance. 6 is connaissance. C is in the pancha at the moment of rebirth. The mental aggregates support the heart base supports the mental aggregates. The heart base supports the mental aggregates. Right? Connaissance, it arises simultaneously together. Right? This pratyaya also comes in as dissociation. Why? Although the heart base and the mental aggregates arise together simultaneously at that moment in time, it is disassociated from one another. Why? Nama is a mental aggregate, Rupa is the Hadaya Vastu. Is that clear, everyone? Right? So here, remember we spoke, mental aggregates, metana tibbanam, me pathar gannona heart base. If the mental aggregates are on this side, conditioning state, then we have to alternate the conditioned state to be the heart base. If the conditioning state is the heart base, the conditioned side is the mental aggregates, right? We can alternate it and understand because it supports one another, although it is connaissant, right? It is connaissant. We cannot say that one is more important than the other. And that time, at the moment of rebirth. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear? Right? That is how it is dissociation, how dissociation condition is present at the moment of rebirth. Okay? Now, then we have pre-nascence dissociation, 8.2a and b. 8.2a and b. Right. Pre-nascence. Support. This is under support. Support. A and B. Base pre-nascent support. During existence, 6 material bases condition the arising of 85 chittas and 52 chetasikas. 85 chittas and 52 chetasikas, the respective. 85 chittas excluding the 4 immaterial sphere resultants. Immaterial sphere result, because immaterial sphere resultants have nothing to do with physicality, right? Or in this case, the 6 material bases, right? The 6 material bases, Chakku, Sota, Gana, Jibha, Kaya, Hadaya, right? Hadaya in this case. So the 6 material bases, everyone, right? Does it not give rise to 85 chittas and 52 chetasikas? The eye base, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body bases, and then the rest falling into the heart base, right? They give rise to chittas and chetasikas, doesn't it? Exactly. So because of that, we find ourselves here again, disassociation condition happening, because at the moment, at the retina, when the visual, the rupa, the form falls through the light, right? At that time, the prasada rupa is present, the chakku vinyana is also present. Is that clear? Prasada rupa is present, chakku vinyana is also present. However, does the prasada rupa and the chakku vinyana mix? No, it doesn't. Dissociation condition. Is that clear, everyone? Right? Hadevastu acts as a seat of mind for these consciousnesses apart from chakku, sota, gana, jivha, kaya to arise within the, or as having heart as the base. All of those chittas, when they arise, the heart base is also present. However, those chittas and the heart base never, there is no mixture that happens there. Why? Because one is rupa, one is nama, right? Hence, disassociation condition, right? Me dharmyan e mohotedi ekata pavatinama e pavathunath e dharmyan ekatu wenne naha hama velema venas, right? Wenva thamai e dharmyan pavatinne. That is disassociation condition, right? Now, A and B. Right? Base object prenascence. The heart base, which acts as the base for the mind to arise, that mind takes the heart base as the object. Is that clear, everyone? Right? The mind arises having heart base as the base. Hadevastu as the base. Hadevastu is the seat of mind, the physical support for the mind consciousness to arise. This consciousness which arises takes the mind, the heart base as an object. Do you understand? That is the scenario we are speaking of here. Base object prenascence. Right? Prenascence, why? Because the heart base already exists, no? We had the heart base from the moment of rebirth, right? So it's prenascence. So prenascence, base object. The base which supports the consciousness, that consciousness takes the base as the object. Is that clear, everyone? Yeah. In that case, the heart base is present, and then the chitta is also present. But the heart base is rupa, the chitta is chitta consciousness. By that nature, it is disassociation. Right? By that nature, it is disassociation. Let us look at the numbers. Heart base taken as object of the same chitta and chaitasikas, it supports as base. Clear? Right? The conditioned by that, manodvara vajana, 29 sense sphere javanas, 11 registration chittas, 44 chaitasikas, excluding envy, avarice, worry, 3 abstinences, 2 illimitables. These ones cannot take the heart base as an object. Do you understand? Right? 3 abstinences, 2 illimitables. Right? Now, 2 illimitables is a external practice. Right? 3 abstinences, the virati, it does not take heart base as object. Do you understand? This is talking about a meditative state where a person takes a heart base as the object. Right? In these positions, right, these chaitasikas, their role is different and they never take the heart base as object. Is that clear? Right? Now, what are the 2 illimitables? Karuna, mudita. Now, karuna and mudita, a good example, karuna and mudita is displayed towards the world, no? Right? So what do you take as object? An external object, right? The 3 abstinences, right? These take certain, these would take certain positions or standards of behavior as object. Isn't it? Right? 3 abstinences. Envy, avarice, worry, these would all be now having friction with external object. Right? They do not take the heart base as object. Hence, they are excluded. Hey, Dhamma Center.
Can you get angry with you? Yourself, you know.
Well, even so, I was actually thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
While I was saying it. However, why that will not, that can happen. But the thing is, like abstinences, right? It'll take a specific part or a quality of you as object. Now, for example, I'm eating too much. I hate that I eat too much, right? So what am I doing? I am now having friction with the fact of me consuming too much, right? So that never goes down to the heart base. Yeah, it has to take the heart base itself as the object. Yeah, may gatitika හැම වෙලේම අර බාහිර අරමුණක් මූලික කරගෙන තමයි හටගන්නේ. Right. Is that clear, everyone? Right. Now, here, now we've discussed these parts, no? Right? We've discussed why envy, avarice, worry, 3 abstinences, 2 illimitables are excluded from this position. Now let us look at Manodwara Vajana, 29 sense sphere jhavanas, 11 registration and 44. Let's leave out the 44. But Manodwara Vajana, 29 sense sphere jhavanas and the 11 registration chittas. Right? Now you see that they have been broken apart. Right? They have been broken apart and mentioned as Manodwara Vajana, 29 sense sphere jhavanas and 11 registration chittas. Right? Now, we would often, this pattern of wording would correspond with the Chittaviti process, isn't it? The registration we only come across during Chittaviti, no? Isn't it? Right? 29 jhavanas also we learned during the Chittaviti process. Right? Manodwara Vajana, since it is with the 29 and 11, we can also take it as that mental process, that continuum, that viti process that we experience. Right? What does that have to do with this? Right? In these positions, when we are talking about mind-adverting, right? Mind-adverting, what are we adverting to? We are adverting to the mindo. What is the mindo? The mindo is the hade vastu. Right? Now, when a jhavana occurs, is that clear, everyone? Right? Mindo adverting, where does it happen? Where does it take place? It takes place at the hade vastu. The 29 sense sphere jhavanas. The 29 sense sphere jhavanas, now does the viti process run? Viti process, huh? Not the chakku vinyana. The viti process. Does the viti process run at the different positions across the body, or does it run at the heart base? Interesting question.
Bhante, not at the heart base, but at the heart element. It's called heart, what's in a single is called element.
Hade dhatu?
Dhatu. Right? Because now when you have when you have Chittaviti, all the Chittavitis are residing in Hade Dhatu, except consciousness, except whatever the consciousness, Chakku Vinyana, Sota Vinyana, or any of the six. Is it correct the way I understand?
Why did you bring that in?
Because you asked the question.
Because I asked the question. Okay, thank you very much, Dasini. But why? Okay. What difference did you see between the dhatu, right, and then the base?
Yeah. Because that's how classically explained in Chittavitis.
Hade dhatu.
Yeah, because all the in the Chittaviti, everything is happening in the Hade Dhatu, except Vijnana, Dvipanya Vijnana. So the way I understood is Hade Dhatu is the place where the consciousness resides.
Consciousness resides is wrong wording.
Consciousness based, I would say.
Consciousness based is also wrong wording, no?
No, because then why they explain all the conscious, the 17, or out of 17 stages, 16 steps comes under Manodhatu.
Manodhatu.
Yeah.
Manodhatu and Manovinyana dhatu.
Yeah. Two different. Manovinyana dhatu is two different things. Yeah.
Yes. So Manodhatu. So here, can we read it now? In this position here, right? The Hadaya Vastu, the physicality, which operates as a base for mind to arise, right? Now the question was, if we would take a Chakku Vinyana Viti, we know that the Chakku Vinyana is present. Chakku Vinyana is one of the Dvipancha Vinyanas, right? It is a Ahetuka. This Chakku Vinyana is present, and then we have this other series which takes place, right? This other series which takes place. Now, then the Chakku Vinyana arises at the Chakku Prasada. The other 16 parts of the Chittaviti, does that too arise at the Chakku Prasada? Where does it arise? You said Hade Dhatu, right? Hade Dhatu. Now, then where is that location? Isn't it still based off the premise of the Hade Vastu? Yes. So then as a location, whilst the Chakku Vinyana arises at the Prasada Rupa, right? The Viti process, that Prasada Rupa that arises, the Viti process for that Prasada Rupa here, the 29 sense javanas, arises taking or on the base of the Hadaya.
Yes.
Right? On the base of the Hadaya. Yeah. We find that the Chakku Vinyana arises at the eye base. Right? That chart is there with the Dhatu chart, the Vattu chart, right? All together. The Vattu chart, remember the Vattu chart? The Vattu chart is where within the mind base of the Hadaya Vastu, right? Sometimes or all together, right? There is always 33 types of consciousnesses that always arise with the heart base, right? With the heart base. That is the two. Let me just pull out this thing. That will be easier. The dosa mula chittas. Let me just pull this out. Here we go, everyone. Now see, we've seen this chart before, right? The Vastu, right? Now see, within the eye base, only two consciousnesses arise, which is the two Chakku Vinyanas. Here, say two, Sota, Gana, Jivha, Kaya. All the rest, receiving, investigating, five-door adverting, mind-door adverting, smile-producing, wholesome, all of those rest of the consciousness except immaterial sphere consciousness arises at the resultant consciousness, arises at the heart base. Right? So now, again, if you're confused, just forget about it. Chakku Vinyana Viti. Chakku Vinyana Viti. When a Viti is running to process a form object, what happens? Look, Chakku Vinyana arises at the eye base, right? The Manodvara Vajana, right? The Manodvara Vajana arises at the mind base. All the rest, including mind base, all the rest, including the sense sphere, arises at the mind base. Right? Arises at the mind base. So that is what we have to then come back to in this. Mind-o adverting, 29 sense sphere jhanas, 11 registration. At this position, everyone, during this specific position where a meditator is taking the heart base as the object, these vitis will arise at the heart base, taking the heart base as the object. Is that clear? Right? At the heart base, taking the heart base as the object. Right? Taking the heart base as the object. Okay. Now, is any questions? Any questions, anyone? Is it clear? Right? This is simply...
Is mind-o and determining the same?
Mind-o and determining. No, it is not. Why did you ask that question?
It's somewhere in the book, I can't remember exactly where. It says it's the same, like
Mindo, and determining. No. No, Mindo and determining. Where did we find the word determining coming into play?
I can't remember. I was just going through the last few chapters and then I saw somewhere that Mindo and determining.
In the 8th, number 8 with determining.
Bhante,
Yeah.
Page 155.
Vottapana.
Yeah, Vottapana is determining.
Okay. So Vottapana
that's a
Page
8th one.
155, there is determining.
Yeah, so that's number 8 there on the VTs.
Yes. So
yes.
Vottapana is Mindo adverting.
Yeah.
Right? It's Mindo adverting. Here, in the Mindo adverting, so is the Mindo determining? Right? Is the Mindo determining? Well, it happens through... Is the Mindo determining? Manodhatu, Mindo. Is the Mindo determining? That question.
Bhante, I think she's right. It's either Vottapana or it's Manodvara Vajjana.
Yes.
Either of the two.
It's the same type.
It's the same type.
Yeah.
So the Manodvara Vajjana process is also the process that completes the Vottapana process.
Yes, yeah.
Right? So whilst when we are changing or shifting, let us say from one, let us say we were just listening to something and now we have to shift to seeing, right? That process happens at the Mindo adverting, right? Now, let us say now Vottapana, whilst we are going through, remember that we cannot cognize with one viti. We have to run multiple vitis. During that time, what happens is now the Vottapana process comes into play. How do we cognize this? Yonsumansikara, ayonsumansikara. Right? That comes into play. So both of those functions are performed by the Mindo adverting at that position. Right? Mindo adverting at that position. Is that clear? Right? Okay.
Bhante,
yes.
It's something like that, I think. When you see a figure, right? Then the next, when you fire the next Chittaviti, it will be Manodvarajjana Chittaviti.
Yeah.
And Manodvarajjana Chittaviti, at the Manodvarajjana stage, it actually acts as the Vottapana function.
Yes.
It's as a function of Vottapana. So that's it. That's why it says Manodvarajjana and Vottapana, the same function, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it performs that same function. It can perform both of those functions. However, the two functions are different.
Yeah, okay.
The two functions are different. Mindo adverting and the Vottapana function is different.
Yeah, but there's a similarity of the process.
Yes, there is a similarity of the process, right? It is as if if you are to walk through a room that smells of a certain way, right? And then you come out smelling with the smell of the room that you were in. It is almost like that. Where Vottapana and Manodvara Vajjana, whilst at the initial stage, the Manodvara Vajjana would be more predominant, right? The Vattapana becomes more predominant after knowing the object or coming to know of the object, the Vattapana function, right? Because at the initial stage, what is done is knowing the object.
Yeah.
Right? Knowing the object. Now that opens a very interesting part, right? That opens a very interesting conversation, because when we look at all the Chittavitis that we have studied, all the different types of Chittavitis that are present, that which we have studied from Chakkusotagana Jivakaya to then the Mano Dwaraka Chittavitis, we find ourselves always uncovering something, almost like literally uncovering something in the mind. Literally always a question, sort of invigilating or sort of investigating into something, making decisions based on that something, that decision process, that adhimokka that is present in making that decision, and upon that adhimokka that arises, that decision, the stream continues based off that decision. Right? It is almost as if opening different doorways, and the number of doorways is wholly dependent on you as a person, your level of wisdom, your level of knowledge, your level of growth or development or understanding or whatever it is, right? That negates the amount of doors, and you keep on opening doors and going into different subjects. Yeah. With the Manodvara Vajana and the Vattapana, right? Whilst initially the process is to know the object, once the object is known, there is always a sense of newness in that moment, you see, right? Because it's always a process of working with that object. However, because of the avidya, right, that is not very clear to us. That newness, because we always connect it with Atma, and Atma was always or is always stitched together with the past and the future. The future, which is a hallucination, the past, which is a memory. That present moment newness is not seen, but that is exactly what we see happening with Vattapana and Manodvara Vajana. Vattapana and Manodvara Vajana. That Vattapana, now we might sort of look at Yonsumansikara or Ayonsumansikara, but also remember Yonsumansikara and Ayonsumansikara, let us say, you on a moderately okay day and you on a fantastic day, right? You're very different. You might on both of those days, you're still, you're happy. However, your level of energy determines the extent to which your mind can go. Isn't it? So whilst that energy at that or during that moment, that energy then allows you what level of Vattapana do you operate by? You know the Dhamma, however, that Dhamma doesn't always come into play, right? If the energy is less, if you have not eaten, if you're juggling so many things, blah, 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 we can, speak of so many things, isn't it? Right? But what is actually happening is, because of that obscurity which is present, the fact that we don't see that part, the process which is happening right at this moment has a sense of newness, has a decision in it, has potential in it. However, that potential is not tapped into. Right? So whilst we say Vattapana and Yonsumansikara and Ayonsumansikara, Yonsumansikara and Ayonsumansikara can have so many variations depending on the conditions that are present. Yes, Mala?
Bhante, something that I don't understand. Yeah. In the Chitta Viti, at the Vattapana stage, can you use your sort of, can you decide, now if somebody scolds me, I'm going to ignore, I'm going to scold him back. can we decide whether we are going to use Yoniso Manasikara or Ayoniso Manasikara, or does it come automatically?
Yeah. So that is initially that is truly decided upon with practice, right? It's like if you are to ring a gong, right? Like a forest gong, which sort of pervades through the forest, right? One of those big ones. You might be quite far away from where the gong is, but you hear its vibration. Shaktimat Javana Sitaking. When a powerful Javana Chitta arises with the volition, with the need, with the energy to do good and to choose what is right and true and good, that Javana Shakti pervades through your Chitta Santana for the coming moments. Do you understand? Now, for example, when I was small, I brought a friend's eraser home. My mother beat me with a shoe flower branch, right? Never did I ever bring back anything which was not mine back home. Right? Now see, that strong, what do you say? It's a javana. That strong javana that took place during that experience inculcated into my mind, do not steal, do not take what is yours, not yours, right? That now pervades through, right? 15 or 18 years afterwards, still it's pervading through. Right? We listen to the Alaga Sutra or the sutras on Niraya and Apaya and all of that. It strikes us. Ape sitatula bayakati karavanama. Because of that, when we do something or when we come to the occasion of having to choose good or bad, we always consider karma. Do you understand? So that powerful impulsion is like that gong, that sounds that pervades, just like that. That essence is born in mind. It changes a person.
Mm-hmm.
It changes a person, right? That is what then allows you to choose. Also, of course, determine at that moment, right? At that moment, conditions can be present where even some of the most powerful impulsions would be put aside and you would take up what is wrong. That can also happen. Especially now, let us say when it comes to a mother having to protect the child, the mother is willing to do anything. She doesn't, she's willing to go to hell if need be to protect her child at this moment. We know that this happens. Right? It all depends on that condition. However, where do we අපේ මේ යෝනිසෝ මනසිකාරය මොන අවස්ථාවේද හැදෙන්නේ? ඒ යෝනිසෝ මනසිකාරයත් හැදෙන්නේ අපේ මේ චිත්ත සංතානයට අපි මේ කවන අත්දැකීම් එක්ක.
Thanks, Bhante. That explains.
Yes.
But it's not at the determining stage one gets the taste of the object. It's the javanas, isn't it? So determining doesn't do much.
Determining doesn't do much, but determining doesn't do much.
Because it's at the javana stage that one gets the taste of the object.
Now, at the determining stage, what happens is this, right? We can't say that it doesn't do much because it is at the determining with the object, the tasting, the knowing, the grappling, the working with the object happens at the impulsions. However, right? However, how am I going to work with this is determined at the determining. Right? Now, for example, if you would, api Lankave example like gathot, pol sambole blender eකට දාන්න නෑනේ. Pol sambole blender එක හැදුවොත් මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? You can't, right? You take an amblia or you take a bowl where you kind of like, or you use a gullet, right? But if you change the instrument or the part, the way that you have all the ingredients together, right? It's not going to turn out as a polsambole. Do you get what I mean? That is what the determining does. Right? It chooses the pathway. How am I going to work with this? Right? And that corresponds with your learning, what your experiences are, what your state of mind is. And the Javana now works with that. The knowing of the object is done now in that manner. Yeah? In that manner. So we can't really say that the Bodhi is not important. Right?
Show us how to make the polsambol then.
Show us how to make the polsambol, exactly.
In reality, before you start the polsambol...
Damsi, don't tell me you can make polsambol in the blender.
No. You have to select the... instead of blender, you have to select the wet grinding unit. There's something called wet grinder. Wet grinder. Okay. So you take the top and put the wet grinder there, and that's exactly what we do in the Patthana. You select the type you required. Yeah. Right, and then you take into action in governance.
Yeah. Yeah. And here the thing, yes, that's that instrument, that pathway we choose. Yeah. However, now remember, mewa okkoma hetupala dharmaya anuwa siddha wenna dewa. Right? All of this happens according to cause and effect. So, for example, like what Mala asked, at what time do we decide? That decision is determined by so many factors, including the fact of you having done it before, your experiences, your learning, your energy, your so many things, which comes to then bring out the fact of, this is what I will use. Right? Now, for example, just think of this, we have there is a flower screw which has to be unscrewed, right? A flower screw, right? With a flower cross, I don't know what you call it, right? The flower top, right? Which has to be, so you need a screwdriver with that sort of mold, right? You don't have it. Now what do you try to do? You try to take a flat and you try your luck with a flat. එහෙම වෙන අවස්ථා තියෙනවා. එහෙම වෙන අවස්ථාවලු තියෙනවා in our minds when the conditions are now different or rather foreign to what we have gone through before. This is all to do with condition, everyone. Right? There is no picking and choosing, but this is all to do. Then me avasana the Buduhamdurangin dharmayak ahala. Buduhamdurangin apita ඒ කාලේ ඒ භික්ෂුන් වහන්සේලාට ගිහි කට්ටියට ඒ ලැබුණ ආభాසය හින්දා, because of that essence of inspiration that the people and the bhikkhus of the time received, which was so powerful, they were able to truly adhere, put everything aside, and truly adhere with great faith and shraddha and trust to the doctrine and the practice. Right? That comes from the conditioning that the Buddha himself sort of puts in there. Right? That the Buddha himself puts in there. Right? Now we are learning the Dhamma of the Buddha. We can read his sutras, but it is so difficult for us to get that condition into our life now. isn't it? That sense of inspiration, that sense of trust, that sense of, it's difficult, it's challenging, right? Now it's not a pick and choose which really happens here. It is all down to hetu phalavade. It is all cause and effect, right? What are the causes? What are the effects? What are the conditions that are present? And for this condition, when this condition arises, now, how is this processed? Right? How is this processed? Now we are doing a merit making ceremony. We've done merit making ceremony so many times. Now the 10th time, or this particular time that you're doing the merit making ceremony, you see that one of your mortal enemies are present in the pinkama. Right? Now it changes the dynamic. Because why? A condition has presented itself, and because this is the first time that you're faced with it, now what happens? It becomes a rather challenge, or it is different to how you did it before, right? Because you're faced with this emotion now, which now arises connected to you seeing your enemy, a person that you did not expect to be there. So now what determines whether the Yoniso Manasikara will run or the Ayoniso Manasikara? That is wholly on your practice, your metta, your understanding of Dhamma, your patience, your commitment towards the path, all of these things. Because some people we have seen lose it, isn't it? Right? So it is really down to how powerful the conditions are. ඒ හින්දාම තමයි දැන් ඉන්ද්‍රිය භාවනාව වගේ භාවනාවකින් ඒ බාහිර අරමුණු ඒ බාහිර වස්තුන්ට තිබෙන ශක්තිය අපි ගන්නවා. We take away the power that these external forces have over our mind. Right? So then what happens is නිවන අරමුණු කරාගෙන ජීවත් වුණා, when we live having nirvana as our main object and goal, and pulling ourselves away or not giving our power, the key to our sort of emotions, to all of these bahira objects, external objects, what happens is that we are more in control now. Right? The kusala chitta is in control. The yoniso manasikara can fall into place, cultivating and developing itself every viti to viti. Yeah? So does that answer your question, Mala?
So Bhante, that means it's your upbringing, isn't it? As a child, when you grow up, so you remembered how your mother was angry. Yes.
Yes, I would say now for me, and I think we all had these experiences, isn't it? Where our parents have really forced something and really taught us a good lesson about it, right? Yes, upbringing is part of it, I would say. There are instances also where regardless of the way that your parents have attempted to bring you up, you live in a very different way as well. Right? Again, more upbringing can be one part of it. I think it's a very important part of it. Right? But metana attatama theen ona me dharmaya adhyashaya. Me dharmaya theen kamatta, the inspiration of Dhamma, the spirit of Dhamma, right? That is truly, in being a good person, that is part of being a good person, regardless of whether you're a Buddhist or an atheist or whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. But the lightness, the embracing of that which is good, the embracing of that which is kind, the embracing of that which is compassionate, those attributes, when you take up that wholesomeness of mind, right? The feeling, that type of livelihood, I would say that is what is truly in that, right? Your parents or our upbringing merely sort of points us towards that way. Yeah? So, can we return? Okay. Now, Hari. So then we've done support. Then we have, okay, then we have post-nascence. Post-nascence is the latter 85 chittas, starting from the first bhavanga, 52 chetasikas, giving rise to, in the 5 aggregate plane, matter of the body arisen along with the preceding chitta from rebirth on at the phase of presence. At the phase of presence. Now, what is that? Post-nascence. Post-nascence condition here within the Panchabhokara Bhumi. The latter 85 chittas starting from the first bhavanga and their respective 52 chetasikas. Now those arise later, right? Those arise later. The conditioned state has arisen first. It's post-nascence now. Within the Panchabhokara Bhumi, matter of the body arisen along with the preceding chitta, right? Preceding chitta. From rebirth on at the phase of presence, right? Because matter matures. It takes one, it is at the moment of presence that matter is able to have some sort of effect. Correct? Right? So when it is at a state of presence, it has arisen along with the patisandhi, supported by the previous life force, right? Previous life force. Now, because that is conditioned, this birth happens, this hadevastu arises with the preceding chitta because there is a karma, a weighty, a janaka karma, which says that you have this long to live. Avusha. Right? A janaka karma. When you are born, you're born with a certain force, no? That force has a janaka karma within it. That janaka karma would say, okay, this person, trihetuka pratisandhi, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, up until whatever amount of years you are karmically able to support this nama and rupa. Because of that, right? Because of that, the 85 latter passe hataganna. Ekane hade bastuwat hata aragana passe hataganna. Palavini bhavangeta passe hataganna siulu chittayan saha chaitasika dharmayan. Post-nascence. Pacha jata pacha. Exactly, everyone. Does that make sense? Right? So, in this case, the matter of the body, they arise together, they are together. However, the chitta and the chetasikas are one, the matter of the body is another. Is that clear? That is how it's dissociation condition. Is that clear, everyone? Any questions? Any questions? Nothing?
Bhante,
Yes.
Post-nascence. Now, if you see, when you have rupa, right? It can be karmaja or chittaja or whatever it is. it exists 17 chittakshanas.
Okay.
So because it exists, it's 17 chittakshanas. So the chitta that's actually coming after the beginning of that beginning, let's say Patisandhi chitta, right? But that all the chitta, karmaja rupa can survive for 17 chittakshanas. So that means way beyond the bhavanga. So what this post-nation says that whatever the bhavanga can support the rupa that originate beforehand, but continues still with the process. Do you understand me?
Yes. Yes. So you're talking about the
Okay.
Chuti avastava, before
No. We'll start with the Patisandhi.
Okay.
With the Patisandhi chitta, you get 3 karmaja rupas, right? We don't have to name it. 3 karmaja rupas. That karmaja rupas actually going to exist for another 17 chittakshanas downward.
Yeah.
So by the time when you have first bhavanga, it has gone through second chittakshana.
Yes.
So by the time when you have bhavanga, the
60
karmaja rupa has come to second chittakshana, right?
16th.
No, yeah, 16th. Yeah. 16th. Yeah. So the post-nation is actually whatever the consciousness arising later can support all the previously originated rupas, whether it's karmaja or chittaja or whatever it is.
The post-nations.
Post-nation is, in classical explanation, post-nation is whatever the chitta comes after can support the rupa which has originated before.
Yes. Okay.
The reason is because it's not disappearing, it continues for 17 chittakshanas.
For 17 chittakshanas.
Yeah. So if you see the but this one has a little bit confusion because it says Patisandhi in your chart, Patisandhi bhavanga, but you have bhavanga, a new rupa, and second bhavanga is a new rupa, but all the previous rupas also continues with that.
That's correct, Damsiri. Correct.
Yeah.
Then what happens here is in post-nations, the post-nations support is present because there is a strength of potential that exists.
Yeah, okay.
Right? That strength of potential that exists, right? Because of that keeps on supporting this element to persist.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Right? So when we would take the post-nations numbers that we see here, right? Yeah. These ones, what we find is these latter ones, right? These latter ones, the conditioning, the matter of the body arisen along with the preceding chitta from the rebirth. This arises first, and this arises after.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
right? What arises first persists. Persists owing to the force of this.
Yeah.
However, this has not arisen.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it has arisen. As I said, in the next stage, we continue to this rupa continue to exist for another 17 chittakshanas.
17 chittakshanas, and then when at the ending of the 17 chittakshanas, these arise. Starting from the first bhavanga, no?
Yeah.
So it started from the first bhavanga, right?
Starting with first bhavanga.
If it is starting with the first bhavanga dhamsari, right? This is where
we are talking about the karmaja rupa.
Yes.
Yeah.
That persists for 17 mind moments. If it started with the first bhavanga, right? If post-nascence started with the first bhavanga, then by the time this first bhavanga, this process is now continuing for 17 mind moments.
That's right. Yeah, that's the point I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it gives strength, gives additional strength from the bhavanga chitta to continue.
Gives additional strength from the bhavanga chitta to continue. Now that is the point. Gives additional strength from the bhavanga chitta to continue. That is an interesting point.
Yeah, that's the point actually. You can ask because this is something I thought myself, because it is the real meaning of post-nascence.
Supports its continuation.
Support is continuation, yes.
Supports its continuation. Supports its continuation. Karma Rupa, which has arisen, supports its continuation. Interesting point.
We don't know how far it's correct.
Exactly. Okay, let's think about it. Yeah. Now, coming back. Okay, it's 18. Right. So any questions on this, everyone? Post-nascence, is that clear? Post-nascence. Right. So during the time of post-nascence, whilst the Rupa Dharmas are present and the Chitta Dharmas are present also, right? Yet the Rupa and the Chitta Dharmas are disassociated from one another. Disassociated from one another. So, for example, the body of the person, the Kaya Shakti of the person might be strengthened and the lifespan would be supported, life would be supported by the Chittas and the Chetasika Dharmas. However, the body and the Chitta does not mix. They are disassociated from one another. Is that clear, everyone? Right? That is disassociation from post-nascence. Disassociation from post-nascence. Now, because it's 8:19, I think we'll start these next time. Yeah, because it's 8:19. Right. Are we okay, everyone? Okay. So then I will see you tomorrow morning for any questions before we end the class. Okay. So then I will see you tomorrow morning for the meditation. Therwan Sannai, and take care.
Therwan Sannai.